Even though this is a presidential election, there are many more candidates on the ballot besides the president. Go to Ballot Ready for a nonpartisan guide to your entire ballot. From there, you can compare candidates based on stances on issues, biography, or endorsements, and then save your choices to use when you vote by mail or in the voting booth. You can even request your absentee ballot or make a plan to vote early or on election day. This election matters. Make sure you have a plan to vote and vote informed. This year, with changes to polling places and vote by mail laws as a result of COVID, it's important than ever to have a plan to vote. Local elected officials affect our lives every day. They decide who to prosecute, monitor the quality of our drinking water, and choose the leadership of our schools. 30% of voters take the time to vote and then leave some part of their ballot blank. This is a misled opportunity to choose the leaders of our communities. It's okay if you're unfamiliar with some of the more local positions. We recommend hosting a ballot party. Get together with friends over Zoom, split up the research, and go through your ballots together. Go to ballotready.org and enter your address to make a plan to vote and vote informed. You are listening to the Centaku Media Podcast, a source for sharing interests beyond the scope of anime because we're in the center of other otaku interests. Hey everyone, this is Sanjo-chan, the host of the Centaku Media Podcast, and this is the season finale of the Centaku Media Journal, the long-awaited season finale. And I know it's been unusual year. I was going to say a heck of a year, but there was something really hecking about it. So I'm going to say, yeah, it's been quite a year. But this is the 12th episode of the Centaku Media Journal, and if you've come this far, I thank you so much for sticking around this long. And I know there's going to be changes along the way, and of course, I'm still going to consider myself a rookie content creator, but of course, there will be some changes. I'll see what works, what doesn't. So far, a lot of stuff has worked, so I really like this format of doing a bi-weekly series, but of course, there's chances for delays. So of course, by the time you hear this, it might be a day or two off. So thank you for your patience. If you were expecting this episode on Wednesday, I was hoping to get it out on Wednesday, but with that said, I do have something to talk about. So I've probably teased this on my streams on Twitch and in previous episodes. But on October 25th, which is on a Sunday, right? Yes. I had to look at my calendar just to make sure. So yes, on October 25th, since we haven't had cons much this year, well, pretty much like the first half of the year, January and February, but pretty much for the rest of the year, there really haven't been any conventions due to obvious reasons. But there was an event here in Chattanooga that was hosted by Metrotham in lieu of their convention, if they were to have it that same weekend of this event. But, due to unforeseen circumstances, they had the idea of putting together an outdoor Fender Day event. So a lot of the Fenders that were slated to attend Metrotham, they got the chance to come out and promote the products. And I know it was very, exciting for a lot of the Fenders, considering that this has been a rough year for a lot of people. So it went well. I think I can't say... I am actually a part of Metrotham. Just a disclaimer, I am on staff as a head of security. So with that said, if you're interested in helping out, I'm the person to go to if you're interested in working security. But I think for the numbers, it's a free event, so it's really hard to tell. So I want to say at least maybe coming and going. It's kind of staggered. I want to say at least 200 people, maybe more. But all that matters, honestly, is that people had fun. So, of course, everyone had to wear masks. Everyone had to keep their distance. So I had to make sure of that as well, to make sure everyone behaved. Not just wearing masks, but just in general, because, I am security, so that's my job. And, of course, we had a costume contest, which went over very well. So I only got a few shots of video. Of course, I'm being on staff, I had to focus. So I can't... I've come to the realization that I can't provide content and then be on staff at the same time, so I can only do so much. So I do have some video footage that I do plan on posting on my Instagram or Twitter. I just gotta figure out how to produce it, because it's just kind of disjointed. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I got to figure out how to present it where it would make sense. So, but all that matters is that I had fun. So, if you're interested in seeing what went down during the event, there is the Metrotham Con Facebook page, which is Metrotham Con, and also they have a website where you can get more details of the future events, such as the main convention, which is slated for April 30th through May 2nd, 2021. And of course, it's still going to be at the convention center, but also that I can't say too much about what's going to happen in the future. But of course, hopefully things will get better by then. But even if it does, there's still probably going to be some precautions put in place as far as, limiting the spread and all that. And hopefully by that time, a vaccine will be out. But like I said, who knows? 2021 has a lot in store for us, guys. Like, I can't believe this year's almost over, and I'm really looking forward to this year to be over with. But also with that said about Metrotham Con, so I have teased this as well on my Instagram, and I haven't actually, I have to come back to this. If it's a mental note to myself, as I'm saying out loud, which probably doesn't make any sense, and I'll probably forget about this little detail. But anyway, so on Instagram, I teased that I was working on a couple of panels. And I know I have also, with that said, I've been slacking on actually updating what said panels were. But I believe it's going to be on the YouTube channel. But if not, at least I'll have them to provide to my listeners and readers of Centaku Media. But I've worked on 2 virtual panels for their virtual day event, which was held the day before on the 24th, which was hosted on their website through fewstub.com. But it was also streamed on Facebook, and I believe some of the panels have been uploaded to their YouTube channel. So if my panels are not on the YouTube channel, I'll figure out when to actually share it with you all, and then if it's not, I'll upload it myself. We'll get it there somehow, but just in the meantime, be sure to check out centakumedia.com for when you be able to see that. Also, I'll share it on YouTube as well. If they have it on their channel, I'll be sure to put it like on a playlist for everyone to check it out. I'll make sure it gets to the proper avenues for people to check it out. But I haven't even gotten around to what they were yet. But one is a Gundam panel. So if you happen to go to Anime Blast about several years back, I did a panel on the history of Gundam, right? So I've done this for our anime club too back in the day, about a decade ago. And if you're familiar with my blog, centakumedia.com, I did publish a 3-part series, which was a republication of the original series that was posted on Centaku Media a decade ago. It was on Centaku at the time before I renamed it to Centaku Media, but yeah, it basically covers like the first 40 years of the Gundam series. But the thing is, I have to do it in 30 minutes. So I think I got a lot talked about in that time frame, and also I provided resources for those that are unfamiliar with Gundam, because, Metrotham Con is going to be mostly a group of people who are more familiar with like Star Wars and stuff. So this will be a good, an introduction to the franchise for people who want to like dig deep, or find out about something that's similar of that nature. So I hope people enjoyed it. Also, I did one on K-pop, which was a last minute entry. So I did a similar panel at Anime Blast a while back as well. So this is like an introduction for those that are unfamiliar with K-pop, because I know of BTS dominating the Billboard charts and just pretty much every digital music chart you can think of. It's about due time to basically, hey, here's some more K-pop you can get into. So, in addition to BTS, I hope people will discover their new favorites. There's Blackpink and even some old school favorites such as Shiny, TVXQ, Big Bang, and 21. So, I hope you all enjoy that. But again, be sure to check out centakumedia.com for my posts regarding the panels, and you'll be able to check it out if you missed Virtual Day. So I haven't really thought of anything classy to say just to complete the season finale, but I will say this a few more times throughout the show. Is thank you for listening, and also I haven't done this. This is something I should have done uh a while back. But if you're interested in supporting me, if you enjoy what I've put out, is not just this podcast, but as far as like streaming on Twitch, posting on my blog and on social media, even though like it's like every now and then, like depending on how busy I get. There is a coffee link, or Kofi. I'm just gonna say Kofi, but technically the concept is the same. So if you're not familiar with Kofi, it's kind of like Patreon, which I actually do have a Patreon account for Centaku Media, but it's deactivated now because I haven't figured out how to promote it yet. Because I doubt that people are gonna promote a Patreon for something that's like still in a work in progress. So yeah, Coffee. I'm not gonna keep switching it up between Kofi and Coffee, but the concept is basically, if you enjoy what I put out there, buy me a cup of coffee. So a minimum payment is like $3 or $1. So $3, I think, is a minimum, and depending on how far I get into content creating, if I get like enough donations to sustain it, I can actually upgrade the coffee account and increase my minimum price from $3 to whatever I want. I think if it's more than $3, I think that's when I can upgrade. But I think I can make it lower than that. But $3 is all I ask, and I think if it's possible, you can donate more. That'd be awesome. Like you can donate like 3 cups of coffee for me. So that'll be like $9 if you give me 3 cups of coffee. Also, this as the I guess an analogy for this, that if I do drink 3 cups of coffee, I can put in my efforts of actually providing more content and make me think a little clearer. But also, I will say that by you showing support, like I do have a job. Will disclose that I do have a job that I make about 30 hours a week on, and considering my situation, like I don't have children. So that puts me in a very good position, financial wise, but also so bills to pay. I still have bills to pay, so that's one thing to look at. But at least if my readers and listeners, give back, that actually helps me out, and I can focus on expanding the brand for everyone else to enjoy. So yes, every little bit counts. So I thank you for supporting this podcast, even if you've been here since the Centaku May days. I also thank you for sticking around this long, because I didn't think I would still be producing content the way I have. And I know it's been a few weird, like several years. It's been weird several years for myself, especially, but like that's probably for another episode. But anyway, thank you again. I've rambled on for this intro a little too long, but anyway, before we go into our new segment, which is the Centaku Media Journal, I am going to have a word here from our sponsor, and then we'll go back into our anime, gaming, and entertainment news for this episode 12. Welcome back to the Centaku Media Journal, episode 12, where we talk about the latest news in the industries of anime, gaming, and entertainment. Especially if you're into K-pop or J-pop or J-pop or K-pop, whatever order it's in, we're going to talk about it. But of course, it might skew more K-pop in my favor, but I hope you enjoy what I have to talk about for this episode. But of course, we're going to get into some anime news, and some I'm actually very excited about, and also there will be a great segue leading into when Centaku Media Journal comes back in January. So, for those that are interested in the anime Dr. Stone, there has been a new video uploaded from Crunchyroll. What they call Stone Wars Eve of the Battle special feature, which is the Jump Special Anime Festa event. New special video for the Stone Wars anime, which is the second season of Dr. Stone. Is on the YouTube channel. It's mostly a recap, but there is some new footage for those that are curious as to what is gonna go down. Well, I'm pretty sure if you read the manga, you already know what's gonna go down, but for the anime watchers, such as myself, then this is something to be looking forward to. So, of course, it comes back in 2021 in January, and Crunchyroll streams the series worldwide except in Asia, and of course, Funimation, they have an English dub. So, if you haven't watched Dr. Stone yet, be sure to check it out before January. It has been on Adult Swim. I don't know if it's still on Adult Swim because I know they rotate their anime quite a bit, but it is on Crunchyroll, the whole first season of it for those that enjoy the subs. But of course, like I said, Funimation, they also the dubs. And I don't know if it's out on DVD and Blu-ray. Because that would be nice, because I actually do want that in my series. I mean, not series, but rather collection. So I hope that if it is coming out soon, I'll be sure to grab it. But for those that are not familiar with Dr. Stone, just to sum it up, it's about a young scientist by the name of Senku Ishigami who is, along with his classmate and childhood friend Taiju, I almost said Taiju Oji, I think that's his name, but Taiju, they get turned into stone. There's this phenomenon where everyone on the planet Earth gets turned into stone. So now Senku is devising a plan to basically have everything turned back, although it's been quite a long time since this happened. I think it's been like, 1,000 years? 200 years or something? It's been quite a long time, so everything has changed, but it is a fascinating show, and when I first read about it, I got these vibes that it was like reminiscent of Fullmetal Alchemist, because very rarely very rarely an episode of an anime gets me hooked on just one episode, and Dr. Stone, as of late, has been one of these shows that, got me interested just from reading about it. So, like, I really enjoyed it, and, like, I need to catch up on the manga, but of course, I'm, like, bad at reading manga. I used to read manga all the time, but just the last several years has just been, like, eh. Like, the only thing I keep up with is Dragon Ball Super, and I'm actually behind on Bleach, which I know that's embarrassing. Like, I know Bleach is over with, but it wasn't. I think in 2014, I actually remember exactly where I stopped, which was 602. So, I know exactly where to pick up from where I left off. And if I remember correctly, I think the Fizz Media app, you can subscribe to Shonen Jump for like $2-3 a month, which is not bad. So I'll have to take it up on that offer just to catch up on Dr. Stone and Bleach, and past issues of Dragon Ball Super if I want to, and then some. But anyway, so yeah, Dr. Stone, that's a show I recommend for those who are looking for something new to watch. And of course, the anime is coming back in January, so yes. What else? Something else I was going to say of Dr. Stone. I think there's also another trailer out. I actually was originally going to post about this rather, instead of the new short, the never before seen footage that is of Dr. Stone. So, yes, there's plenty of Dr. Stone content for the Stone Wars arc to check out in the meantime. So, moving on, so for those that are looking for another anime dub to check out, SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild, and I don't know what AFTRA means, but basically it's a Screen Actors Guild, so this is a union dub, but it's going to be of Kuroko's Basketball, or Kuroko no Basket, or Basket, rather. So the SAG-AFTRA began listing an English dub produced by Unforeseen Production Incorporated for the Kuroko's Basketball anime in its database. SAG-AFTRA is listing the dub as a quote-unquote Netflix dubbing agreement with an active/approved signatory status. The first season of the anime, based on Tadatoshi Fujimaki's manga, aired from April to September 2012. The second season aired from October 13th to March 2014, and the third season aired from January to June 2015. And Crunchyroll streamed out all 3 seasons outside of Japan as they aired, and when they were still a thing, I don't know if you all remember this, but Daisuke, they originally streamed some of the Gundam series, and I think Gundam Unicorn, they streamed the first season. But yeah, so for those that are unfamiliar with Kuroko's Basketball, it's about an up-and-coming power player, Taiga Kagami, who is back from America. When he comes to Seirin High School, he meets the super-ordinary boy Tetsuya Kuroko. Kagami is shocked to find that Kuroko isn't good at basketball. In fact, he's bad. So, he's so plain that he's impossible to see. But Kuroko's plainness. Sorry, English. lets him pass the ball around without the other team noticing him, and he's none other than a sixth member of the Miracle Generation. So there's another sports anime to check out, because I know Haikyuu is the biggest thing right now. Actually watched the first season of Haikyuu when we had our anime club meetings, seeing anime more back about 5 years ago, but it didn't interest me. I guess it's just I'm not really a big sports fan. I can get behind some local sports, but just general sports, I just like So like I'll pass. But the story itself, though, is actually interesting. So like, if it's not just for the sports, but the story sounds interesting. Because my friend goes by name is New. He actually loves this show. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's forgotten all about it, but if I like mention this, or if he listens to it, like, hi. So if he listens to it, he might be interested in the dub. So I'm guessing this is gonna be a Netflix exclusive dub, from what it sounds like, especially if it's a union dub. So I'll keep an eye on that. Of course, I won't probably won't be able to talk about it until January, unless I decide to do like a live show on Twitch. I don't know, but this will give me enough time for anything to come out of this announcement in the next 2 months. So moving on. So I'm actually really excited about this next news story, and it's actually just around the corner. So you all remember Pokemon Twilight Wings? So there's going to be a special episode coming out in November. And from what it looks like, it's going to be on November 5th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. But of course, it's going to be, it's going to be 2 versions of it. So there's going to be on the, hopefully it's an English dub. It has to be an English dub. But, anyway, the short is called, what is it called? Oh, The Gathering of Stars. So it's called Twilight Wings, The Gathering of Stars. And it's basically, it's based on the recent releases of the expansion packs, which is Olive Armor and the Crown Tundra. And it will be available exclusively on the Pokemon YouTube channel and on the Pokemon TV app. And the staff that originally did the main Twilight Wing series, Studio Colorido, they are going to be working on this short as well. So be sure to look out for the special. And also, if you're curious as to what Pokemon Twilight Wings is about, be sure to check out my series covering episodes 1 through 7 of Twilight Wings, which will be in the show notes for your convenience. And I hope this episode features Raihan, because I love me some Raihan. Anyway, speaking of Pokemon, I actually haven't played the new expansion pack yet. Actually, I'm like behind on it, because I do have the first expansion pack. I played a little bit of it. But yeah, I need to get my hands on the Crown Tundra, so I probably plan on playing that a little bit at some point on Twitch. If not, I'll probably just share video clips on the YouTube channel. But anyway, moving on. So I got one more story. This is actually a manga story. So I know I was talking about Dragon Ball Super earlier, but this is actually about the manga Dragon Ball Super. So I have done an episode, a special episode of the podcast, Centaku Media Podcast, about Dragon Ball Super, and just basically I'm telling everyone what it's about, because not many people know that Dragon Ball is still a thing except for the hardcore fans. So chapter 65 came out this month, and I'm like really upset about it. And by upset, I don't mean that it's like ending anytime soon, and actually what I'm about to talk about is far from that. But basically this is the way things are going. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm like, this is going to, of course this was going to happen, but also like, this is getting old. Can you please stop, Toriyama, please? So, if you read Dragon Ball Super, and especially the most latest one, like, I'm sure you understand how I feel about what's going on. But anyway, so this is actually from the DBC subreddit on Reddit. That's titled "The Future of DBS Manga," which is an interview, video interview rather, with Victory Uchida, who's one of the staffers, I guess, at Shonen Jump. He said that he works out the story alongside Toritama and Toyotaro, who's the illustrator of the manga, and of course, Toriyama, he's just the, it's still his story, so he's still involved with it, but Toyotaro does all the art for it, and it's like almost side by side compared to Akira Toriyama's work. Because actually, Toyotaro used to be the artist behind the Dragon Ball AF fan manga. So naturally, Shueisha saw him and said that, hey, you want to work on an official Dragon Ball entry? And I guess he was like, hell yeah, because he used to go by Toibo, but because of that, he had to change his name up a bit. So I'm like, I'm really proud of him that he came that far. But anyway, so Toyotaro, working with Uchida and Toriyama, he turns in the storyboards to the editor, and then the editor passes on the storyboard to Toriyama for one more check. And Toyotaro's storyboards are unusually detailed because of this extra Toriyama check. Of course, it's kind of understandable because it's still his work. Ishida and his co-host in the video mentioned that on page 8, the last page published to the official site as a preview, acts as a cliffhanger with a twist/reveal on page 9. His co-host also has a copy of the entire chapter storyboard and marvels at the cutting of the preview off of page 8. The story right now is basically at its climax, which, yes, I can attest to that. Looks like it's getting to the end. Like, I'm kind of wishing it ended soon. But it said the story is wrapping up, which means a new one is going to have to start soon. And there is a story meeting scheduled 2 days after recording, like either, I guess, October 15th or the 16th in the notes here. And the plan at this stage is to narrow down the general ideas with Toriyama and Toyotaro. Uchida says it's basically like narrowing 10 options down to 3. The scope of these options, whether the entire storyline premises or details, isn't specified. It seems more like it's brought up just to give a general impression of the early story meetings. And also, everyone agrees that Megate no Gokui, which is the English name of Ultra Instinct, is a very cool name, and I can see that because apparently it's Goku in the name. So, anyway, of course, I'm very biased with Vegeta. Of course, I know, again, just with everything going on in the manga, like, I was, rooting for Vegeta at this point, but there have been some setbacks, which I'm not going to go into right now, but I'm pretty sure you understand if you already read it, so I don't have to say anything. But if you're interested in figuring out where the heck Dragon Ball Super is going, like, if you haven't watched or read anything of Dragon Ball Super, or if you just if you watched the anime and are waiting for the second season of an anime, which might be longer than usual, having to wait for, be sure to check out that episode of the podcast, which was in the show notes. And of course, this is an incentive to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to this on. So, anyway, thank you for putting up with my ranting of Dragon Ball Super. Like, I want to do, like, another post about it. I actually used to do posts on this, like, every chapter that comes out, I try to write about it, but I just haven't been able to keep up with them. Like, I'll work on something else. But I think I'll wait until after the climax of the story to say something about it, just like a review of what's going on so far. But yeah, okay, so we're done with our anime and / manga segment of the podcast, and now we're going to go into gaming news. And to kick it off, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV news. So I haven't done this in a while, so I usually do my Aorsa Journal post, basically highlighting where I am now playing the game, but considering how impatient I am trying to get to Shadowbringers, I'm like, I'm just gonna play the game, whatever, I don't care anymore, just let me get through it. So I originally streamed 14 on Twitch as well, but I might just stream it when I get to Shadowbringers, or just record myself playing it and do highlights at some point. But I'm like, I just want to get through the story, because actually, as of recording this, I am at the post in-game content of Stormblood, so that's very exciting. Like, I'm like 10 quests into this post in-game story right before Shadowbringers, so I'm pretty sure come, I don't know, Thanksgiving, I'll probably be able to start Shadowbringers. But anyway, enough about my planning of when I'll get to Shadowbringers. But for those that have finished Shadowbringers, this might be some exciting news. The Final Fantasy XIV Letter from the Producer Live Part LX, which is 60, just for those that are not familiar with the Roman numerals. I had to look it up before I said anything just to say, what the heck is LX? So yes, part 60, they do this, like, I guess every other month. Like, I don't really keep up with it because, it's going to spoil whatever they're about to talk about since I'm behind. But they gave a hint of things to come. First, there was an update about the state of the fan fest for the game. But even more importantly, a Final Fantasy XIV event will be held in February of 2021. There's no specific date set, but it seems it will involve some sorts of potential major announcements. And apparently there are two parts of this affair for February. First, there will be an actual event for Final Fantasy XIV. This stream said that the whole point is to announce new information. It will be then followed by a 14-hour broadcast. As a reminder, just from the Silicon Era story, and just for even more fan speculation and all that. So Shadowbringers was announced in November 2018 and released in July 2019. Heavensward was released in 2015, and Stormblood in 2017. So this, when you think about it, it's like every 2 years. So 2015, 17, 19, and 2021. So this has to be an announcement of the expansion pack. But the thing is just when will it be released? So it doesn't mention exactly when Heavensward and Stormblood came out. I think Stormblood came out in June. Heavensward, at that point, that's when I started playing 14, so I don't really remember that. And of course, I could just search for it, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I imagine that this 4th expansion pack, if that's what it is, might come out in August or much later, depending on how things go in the world. But it's possible, it's quite possible that this is an announcement of the new expansion pack. And anyway, going back to the story, there was also an update on the 14 Fan Fest. Back in July, the Japanese one in Nagoya was canceled, but the February 2021 in Europe, in London, was still under consideration, but it looks like it's been canceled. So with the way things are going, it's just not worth the attempt. So instead, there will be an online event. And I'm sure if they are working on a 4th expansion pack, they got the means necessary to make it happen in a reasonable amount of time. But if not, it's very understandable. There's probably some stuff they can't do remotely, so they have to go in. So just kind of make sure everything's done safely. But I'm pretty sure if there is an issue, they probably will end up delaying it. So we'll see. But of course, February, that's still a few months off. So we'll find out more come the event time. But anyway, moving on from 14, but going on to 16, which is actually kind of the same thing almost, because, well, not really, it's not the same thing at all, but the fact of the matter is that Final Fantasy 16 is being directed by Naoki Yoshida, who is also goes by Yoshi P, who is the director of Final Fantasy 14. So there's some, relation there going on, and actually there might be some more information coming out soon, but at this point I probably won't be able to talk about it since this episode is recorded before then. But anyway, so there's a update regarding the development and scenario planning. So apparently it's been complete. And this is an article from Silicon Era via Gamatsu. The basic Final Fantasy XVI development and scenario production is already complete. The information comes from a recruitment page found on the official Square Enix website. The site read, "We are looking to..." Well, I don't know if this is a typo. This is what it says. "We are looking for staff to assist in creating the world of Final Fantasy XVI. This includes creating various areas/stages, cutscenes, and character animations. While basic development and scenario production have already been completed, we are continuing to create resources and boss battles, while expanding our development tools." The listing also mentioned that staff on Final Fantasy XVI has been carrying out their work remotely through the development of the upcoming title. Square Enix also mentions that the resource production pipeline is currently undergoing major changes leading up to the next generation. There is an emphasis on recruitment for those with experience in environmental production, cutscene production assistants, VFX artists, and animators. A t-shirt website is scheduled to release sometime in late October. Which is what I was hinting at. During a segment on Square Enix's Tokyo Game Show 2020 broadcast, producer Naoki Yoshida spoke briefly about the quality of Final Fantasy XVI's announcement trailer. And of course, that was like almost a finished product, which included footage of battles being shown in real time and in-game cutscenes. So, yay, so as in late October, which is probably today or tomorrow, whenever, but be sure to check out more details about that on your own accord, but I'll be sure to also talk about it a bit on a blog at some point whenever I had the time. Also, with that said, I have mentioned this before in a previous episode, but the last week of the month is reserved for personal time, so chances are I won't talk about it right away, but it will be there. Especially, I hope this podcast is catered to people who are into this kind of stuff, but they're kind of like, okay, well, if it's there, I'll enjoy it, because not many people have 50 feeds from websites that talk about the same thing. That's how obsessed I am with stuff like this. But anyway, so yes, be sure to look out for information regarding Final Fantasy XVI. I will be sure to talk about it when we come back in January if there's significant announcements concerning Final Fantasy XVI. And speaking of the next generation, so Sony has done an overhaul of their web store, the PSN store. If you're looking to grab some late releases from the PS3 or PlayStation Portable or the FIDA, you might be limited to just buying them on the platforms themselves instead of through the web store. So Sony announced in an email to PlayStation Network service subscribers on Thursday that the PS3, PlayStation Portable, and PlayStation Vita games, as well as apps, themes, and avatars will no longer be available to buy when accessing the PSN service through a web browser or the service's mobile app. Sony is also disabling the wishlist feature on browsers and the mobile app. Accessing PSN through the services devices themselves will still allow the purchase of these games. So PS4 users can still have access to apps, themes, and avatars to the PSN store on the PS4. And Sony will gradually roll out the update on the PSN store via web browser from October 21st to the 26th, and will roll it out on the mobile app on October 28th. So, if buying these games on a browser will convenient for you, then I hate to say it, but the only way you can get it now is if you still have the PS3 and PS4 hooked up. So, I do have a few games of interest I do want to get on the PS3. I still have a PS3, although this is my second PS3 console I've owned, because the original one I had that came with the Metal Gear Solid 4 bundle kicked the bucket, unfortunately, so I had to get another one. But yes, there's actually quite a few games I need to catch up on, and there's quite a few games I need to catch up on the PS4, so I'm hoping, streaming regularly on Twitch will help me catch up with a lot of these games. So, yes, so I better make sure. I gotta find out what games I haven't played yet, although I know a lot of these games have been re-released on the PS4. So that's probably what's gonna happen. I'll probably end up rebuying them for the PS4 or Switch. But, so yes, the only way you can buy it now is on the platforms that are readily available to yourself. So, yeah, anyway, that is it for gaming news this round. And now we're going to go into entertainment news. So this actually goes back, well, we're not going there yet. I kind of jumped ahead of myself. Anyway, next story is, of course, the next two stories are BTS related, but one actually goes back to a news story I talked about in the last episode. But first, we're going to talk about BTS. So this one is interesting that I want to talk about it with a few listeners. During the initial announcement of BTS's Map the Soul tour before everything got cancelled, there was a location for June 13th and the 14th. If you look closely at the date the location for June 13th and 14th, it's shrouded behind a question mark. It comes right after the Toronto and the Chicago tour stops. And if you're a hardcore BTS fan, apparently June 13th and 14th is actually a special date, especially the city that they were apparently going to stop in that shrouded in mystery. So, on June 13th, Apparently, that's the debut date of BTS, which was in 2013. And it would have been in Daegu, South Korea. So a lot of Korean army fans are going insane about it because they could have saw Fee and Suga perform. And yeah, just with everything going on, that's not going to happen right now. So, yes, Daegu would have been a good place for a lot of their fans to see them perform, which is where they started, especially Fee and Suga. So, yeah, it's sad times for K armies. So now we know what that mystery date, or mystery location rather, was. So hopefully, after all this is done, they'll be able to perform. And I know, which actually is a good segue into our next story, which is another BTS article, which also goes back to my story I was talking about last episode. It was about their enlistment. So, one of the members of BTS is Jin, and he's like the closest one, or rather, one of the first ones to be enlisted when that time comes, because he meets that criteria of having to serve his mandatory military services. So there was a lot of speculation for the past couple of years if BTS would be exempt from serving in the military because of their status as global superstars. But, like I said, a lot of people said, I think initially the Military Manpower Administration in Korea, they said that they weren't going to consider that because they are not athletes or not anyone of a prestigious industry like classical music. But this might be a rare case for BTS. So their statement said that we are currently pushing forward in revising the military service law so that outstanding pop cultural artists can qualify for deferring their military enlistment. Just last month, John Yong-gi of the Democratic Party of Korea proposed a revision that would allow outstanding pop cultural artists to defer their military enlistment until the age of 30. Regarding the proposal, So-wook, the Minister of National Defense, expressed reviewing the possibility of deferment could be meaningful, suggesting that is the general opinion of the government department as a whole. However, the revised bill will require the Minister of Culture, Sports, and Tourism to select the outstanding pop cultural artists who qualify for the deferment, raising the concerns of fairness. And also, there a statement from the Commissioner Mo Jung-hwa, the Military Manpower Administration must provide a clear set of qualifications. Since the issue of fairness is very important, we will set a high standard for the recommendation qualifications. So, I mean, they can't be exempt from military enlistment, but at least they can be delayed. Because, like I said in the previous episode, that was some of the cases for some of the idols. And of course, it led to like some artists doing something really stupid, like either leaving a country when they knew they were supposed to enlist that day, or pulling their teeth out. Which, that goes to Yoo Sung-jun and MC Mong. But but they changed that last year, but they might go back to it and say you can defer. You can wait until you're 30, because one of the boys are approaching like the late 20s, and like I said, like Jin meets the criteria for that, for having to enlist. So maybe we'll just get a chance to see BTS a little longer, especially after this pandemic is over. And that's kind of like one of the issues, is because they were supposed to go on this world tour, but considering the coronavirus, it's just, a lot of people, especially outside of Korea, won't be able to see Jin perform if he has to enlist next year. So this is like really promising news for those that are huge fan of BTS. So going forward, speaking of military, this is pretty much a whole Korean military themed episode right here, or segment rather. So now that we're talking about Jin, there are several other K-pop artists who are expected to enlist. So everyone born in 92 are expected to enlist, or some have enlisted already, but we'll find out exactly when they'll be released from their military services. So we have Jin, which we just talked about from BTS. For EXO, we have Chen, Chenyo, and Baekhyun. They have yet to enlist in the military. Infinite L also has yet to go in. Sandal from B1A4 has yet to go. And also we have Hoon from Winner, who enlisted on April 16th, 2020, but he is expected to return as a celebrity on October 26th, 2021. Block B's Park Kyung was supposed to enlist in January, this past January, but it was delayed due to his Sajiki case. So no follow-up date has been announced yet. Hun Sik from B2B enlisted on May 11th of 2020, and he is expected to be released in November 2021. November 20th, rather. And 100% Junghwan enlisted early on July 22nd, 2019, and he's expected to return on January 31st, 2021. And there is, I think at least 20 artists they mentioned in the Korea Blue article. So I will link that article in the show notes to check out who else is going in from the 92 line. But of course, since we're going to the end of the year, there's going to be the 93 line due up next. So again, be sure to check out the Korea Blue article for the full list of your favorite idols to see if, hopefully they're not on the list. But again, they have to serve their country because, like I said in the previous episode, both Korea, so North and South, are still at war, so it makes sense for them to do it. And like a lot of Korean idols, they usually do it early too, so they can get that out of the way and then be trained for just in case the inevitable happens. So yeah, so that's it for our entertainment news. I don't have any more military related. Yes, I don't have any more military related news to talk about right now. So those are the only two I had. So that would have been a good episode. Actually, I could have done like a whole special episode of that, a singular segment about that. But I don't know. It might happen at some point. But anyway, we are done with our entertainment news. And normally this is where I would end it, but we do have two offbeat articles I need to talk about that's of interest. So this one, speaking of returning series, anime series, so this one is from Anime News Network that talks about the bid placement from leading national and global brands to be placed in Tiger and Bunny Season 2. One of the more memorable aspects of the Tiger and Bunny anime is how all the superheroes wear suits sponsored by real-life brands. It seems that the Tiger and Bunny 2 sequel anime is following its predecessor in this regard. Back from October 1st to the 7th, the official website put out an open call for brands to sign up for a product placement deal. The news was met with elation by dozens of big-name corporate brands on Twitter, including electronic scales maker Tanita, electronic manufacturer Sharp Corporation, stationery company King Jim, and department store chain Tokyo Hands. The occasion has given some of the people running these corporate social media accounts the opportunity to show off their inner anime geek, with the King Jim account tweeting, "Personally, I'm a Blue Rose fan. The gap between her hero work and her private demeanor is irresistible." Plus, Stationery tweeted that their friends are all lunatic fans. And actually, for those that are unfamiliar with Tiger Bunny, so Blue Rose, her sponsor was actually Pepsi. Which, disclaimer, none of these brands are sponsored by Centaku Media. So, just put that in there. So, if you go to the Anime News Network article, they do have all the tweets of these brands that reached out to the Tiger Bunny Twitter account. But it's in Japanese, of course. So if you go to each tweet, you can translate this to see what it says, but they haven't translated all of them. And the article also mentions that back in August, corporate brands competed in a charity auction, or rather charity drive, to get their brand represented in the Fall Guys video game. The bids ended up going as high as $1 million US. How much are the brands willing to dish out to get into Tiger and Bunny? The original television anime series centered around heroes for hire, superpowered beings known as Next, who were sponsored locals while fighting crime on television. The Tiger and Bunny 2 anime will premiere in 2022. Sad face, but at least it's getting closer to when it will actually come out. And For those that are already familiar with Tiger Bunny, it's going to tell you it's going to be set after the events of the movie The Rising. So I'm really excited for Tiger and Bunny, and actually, in 2021 will be 10 years since the anime of Tiger Bunny came out, and I'm like, man, it's been that long already, and I'm like, also like, I can't believe that it's taken them this long to actually get around to a second season. Like they've had like at least 3 years after the fact that they could have done this. Maybe that's why they took a while because of the sponsor deals. Because I remember, I think it was at a panel. I think the people that were behind Tiger Money was at a convention. I want to say like Anime NYC or Anime New York Comic Con or something. New York Anime Comic Con or whatever it was called, and they revealed that the original anime almost didn't happen because apparently it didn't get enough financial support. So they say, hey, you know what? Let's do this. Let's have these superheroes be sponsored by these well-known brands, and of course it worked. And I think there were even some brands. They mentioned that some brands were actually objecting some of the superheroes because one of them I think was oh gosh, what's the name? Nathan Seymour. That's the character's name. Fire or something like that. Oh my god! Like, come on, Sanjo, you should know this. But the one that has the fire superhero, Nathan Seymour. That's his real name. Because of his personality, they didn't want to have anything to do with him because basically he's gay. So like that was really disappointing that they didn't want to be associated with a gay character. But of course, they didn't mention what that character was. I mean, what that brand was, rather. So I'm like, well, yeah, it's best not to know who it is. And I know you could probably go a little further as to saying, who it is, because I know there's a couple of companies that come to mind that actually objects anything to do with homosexuality. So I'll leave that imagination up to the listener. But yes, I'm looking forward to Tiger and Bunny season 2. Now I kind of want to watch the first season. Who knows? But yeah, I think also I did write a review on Tiger and Bunny, the anime. So if you're interested into finding out what it is, be sure to check it out on Centakumedia.com. It'll be in the show notes for your reading interests. And this is the last news story of Offbeats, but also after the Offbeats, I have something important to talk about. So this next news story is about Funimation's partnership with a home goods brand called Just Funky, which features merchandise, Dragon Ball merchandise, but it's for actually like stuff you least expect. So one of the manufacturers that's mentioned, apparently they offer slow cookers, a sake set, lunch boxes, and bedding. So I know there has been Dragon Ball Z bedding in the past, because actually there was a blanket I bought years ago when I was like 12, and I think it was on clearance somewhere, but it was actually, thinking about it now, it was actually very uncomfortable. It's made of that, felt? Yeah, it was made out of that felt material, and I tried like sleeping in it, but it was like very uncomfortable. But at least it was like a big ass picture of Vegeta and on some part of it. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta get it. It's Dragon Ball Z related, so I'm like, yeah, I got it. But yeah, so it was largely uncomfortable. And of course, I know as of lately there have been more like bedding products and stuff like that. Because I actually have 2 Dragon Ball Z pillowcases right now in my bed, which has one side has Goku and the other side has Vegeta, which I'm pretty sure you've seen it around on Twitter. Because I think there's a DBC Babe, Maria. She's a big Vegeta fangirl, so anything that she gets Dragon Ball related, she'll post it on Twitter. And one of the other things, what's another weird thing I've seen with Dragon Ball? Of course, sake glasses, shot glasses, and sake. So sake glasses is actually new to me, but there have been shot glasses. I have seen them in like Spencer's, unless they have. I think there was like probably like a smaller set, but they have like a more selection than they have before. And of course, they're water bottles. They've always been water bottles because I've seen them in Spencer's myself. And there's also a plate set as well. So I'm like, if you're that obsessed with Dragon Ball, you got it. You got I'm surprised I don't have curtains in this list. And also, I will say that if this sounds ridiculous to you, I think at least like 2-3 years ago, and actually I think periodically they still have commercials for this in Japan. Toshiba has a refrigerator that's called Fujita, and they actually have Fujita promoting the product, and there's even a freaking commercial that basically has Fujita interacting with the refrigerator. I'll have to share it. I have to find it and share it in the show notes, but like that actually exists. So like you can't don't say anything. Like if you think having a slow cooker, if you think having a slow cooker and a bed set and plate set, like so don't say anything since this is an official, from straight from Japan. There's a refrigerator with Vegeta's name on it, literally on it. So yeah, don't say a word. So I mean, it's still weird, but then again, like both Dragon Ball Z is a cultural phenomenon in both Japan and U.S. at this point. So yeah, so you can't stop it. You can't stop the phenomenon. So, and last news story comes from Anime News Network. On their Twitter account and on their website, they posted a video that features your favorite English voice actors and your favorite anime and gaming dubs, reminding you to get registered, or rather, if you are registered, to get out and vote. The video, of course, is produced by Anime News Network, but you'll also see notable voice actors including Sung-Won Cho, Stephanie Shea, Laura Stahl, and others appear in the special video to urge everyone to do their civic duty in this year's election. And of course, if you watch the video, there's a short message from Keith Silverstein, Bryce Papenbrook, among the few that's on there. But no, seriously, this is very important. Like in the United States, it's very obvious that people's rights are getting, violated just for actually speaking up. So this is like really important. Like it doesn't matter who you vote for, just the idea of voting is in danger. So this is a perfect opportunity to make your voice heard, just to keep things the way they should be. So if you don't agree with what I say, I'm sorry, but it has to be said. I normally don't do things like this. Like I said, I try not to do anything political on this platform, but now it's a good time, and this is one of the rare exceptions where I will talk about stuff like this. So at this point, when you hear this episode, early voting is done in some states, but of course, election day is on November 3rd, so make a plan, get out there and vote. And also, be sure to wear your mask, be sure to bring hand sanitizer. If it rains, bring an umbrella. Just make a plan and make your voice heard. It doesn't matter. Even if you think that your vote doesn't matter, it will. Like, one little vote goes a long way. Like, every little thing you do, and, as far as productivity, goes a long way. And this, like, even though this is, getting this episode out has been, a little late, at least I did it because it took me, baby steps to actually get things done. So you don't know what one vote will do to make a change for the better. So that's all I have to say. And again, I can't say thank you enough with you supporting this podcast by listening to what I have to say for 12 episodes and then some. And with that said, this episode has come to a close. And once again, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to donate with the Ko-fi link and the show notes. Also, I will be streaming on Twitch Thursday and Friday nights at 9 p.m. I'll be streaming Shenmue 2, which I am almost done with. I'm on disc 3. And I'm pretty sure like in a couple of weeks or so, I'll probably be done and going into Shenmue 3. But if Shenmue is not your thing, I will be streaming Final Fantasy X on Fridays at 3 p.m. And again, not the third week, but the last week of the month are reserved for personal time off, so there will be a break in streams at that time. But you can check out more information on centakumedia.com for any articles outside of this podcast as well. Follow Centaku Media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and on YouTube at Centaku-chan. But the other ones, be sure to follow at Centaku Media. I know that's a little variation toss up between those mediums. Episode 13 will be out in January. I haven't decided the date of when I'll come back yet. It might be the first week of January, second week, but I'll figure that out. And of course, the only way to find out is if you follow Centaku Media in the avenues I mentioned. Thank you, and until next time, so long.
Forget this day.